I feel like I've forgotten to tell you something really important.
Don't say that.
Hello, gorgeous faces. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, now this is going to be a very self-indulgent call because I have questions for Senn. Starting with, how do I pronounce your surname?
Annis.
Okay, Senn Annis.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just want you never know.
Make a mistake with that one.
Yeah, it turns out I've been pronouncing Jeff, and I'm not even going to say it right now, Jeff the publisher's surname incorrectly for 4 months. Senn, it's nice to meet you. Everyone else rhymes with Joe. Yes. Yes. You guys know the rules, please. Quirky questions only, nothing grown up, nothing we can find on Google. I don't want to know about Pro Tools. I want to know the good stuff.
Thank God.
I met Senn. I'm going to do a quick intro and then I'm going to kind of hand you over with our first question, Senn. But then I'm going to kind of skip all the normal questions and go straight to, how the hell did you end up in the circus and being an aerialist? And oh my God, those pictures of you. And I'm such a fangirl and I'm so jealous. And I read a book when I was 10 and I really wanted to run away with the circus. And I didn't get my chance. And I did do the clown thing, but not as early as I would have liked to. So tell me every single detail from the minute it entered your mind to how you got to do it and what everyone was like and all their names and all the details. And of course, we'll talk mostly about narrating, but tell me about that.
It is a running away with the circus story.
Oh, I want to hear.
Should I? Am I going? You set me loose?
Let's go to the good stuff, and we'll deal with all the other stuff. But tell me about the circus.
Okay. Well, bless my parents' hearts. They lived through this. I was in my honors year at university, BA in English literature. And I just dropped out very suddenly to study swinging trapeze.
Okay, so wait. So this didn't start when you were like 10. You did, I mean, did you have dreams of 10-year-old? Let's do the important question. Tell us about, oh wait, talk for a minute.
Who, me?
Yeah, I got to get you back.
Yeah, obviously I'm the guest, right?
Tell us about 10-year-old Senn.
Okay, she was up a tree reading.
Okay.
So I did like climbing and stuff, but although I took some ballet when I was very young, my mom then took me out. She just felt like it wasn't great for self-esteem for girls.
Okay.
So it's sad that maybe in my small town there wasn't better classes, or I regret that, but all the way into university, I was a very shy person, very like internal. And in university, I started taking dance classes at this amazing studio just for fun to like, blow off steam. And I became obsessed. And I took more and more.
When you were young, you weren't obsessed? What were you thinking when you were like 10 up to university? What were you thinking? What were your dreams at that
I was
age?
really reading. I was very much in my own imaginary world. I just wanted to be a unicorn or a horse, basically, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Like much more in the stories world. I did take like horseback riding. I was in the school musicals, but I didn't have this physical element.
You had a rich fantasy life.
Yeah. Lots in the head.
Which is the way it should be, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I was very shy, so books.
I love that. I love that. I can picture 10-year-old Senn. Okay, so you get to university and you become obsessed with dance.
Yes, I was taking a lot of philosophy and Nietzsche's. I was reading "Thus Spoke Zarathustra." Thus spoke Zarathustra.
Yep.
And he's saying I could only believe in a god who could dance, and I was starting to take dance classes, and I read it. I remember reading it, and be like, oh, he's talking to me.
we all thought we were Nietzsche's special
Didn't,
friend.
right?
I literally somehow got the idea I was the only one on earth that had ever discovered him.
Oh
I don't,
God. It was a time, you know, you're 20 and you just
yeah,
are so shocked and inspired by everything. And I remember I was reading Dickens' Hard Times, and there's a circus um like subplot in there. He
yeah.
really uses them to symbolize, you know, counterculture. Um and just in that moment I was just starting to become obsessed with dance, and I just sort of let myself go. And I started applying for dance schools all over the country and got into them. And because I did, and because I found swinging trapeze classes, I very suddenly dropped out of university after like 3.5 years of commitment and investment,
Do you know what
and
you've
started just
done?
dancing full time and doing other
In
things.
one fell swoop, you've discarded half of my lifetime excuses because I told myself the story of you had to have thrown yourself into that stuff when you were 10, 11, 12, that by the time you're at university, you don't have a chance. You might as well not bother. So I ignored those dreams when I was in university completely, assuming it was too late, that I was too old by then.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that took a lot of guts. Did you never have that voice in your head going, could it be too late? Am I too old? What am I doing?
well, I sort of, I guess, let the auditions to the dance school sort of be my testing ground of like,
Yeah.
well, will you let me in? Will you? And they did, bless them, but it was very difficult. And once there in dance school, I realized, no, you really need to start when you're 2, because if you don't, you're in hot water. And it didn't go well. But luckily, I went to Montreal for dance school, and there is a vibrant circus community. So I started studying aerial and dropped out of dance school and just started doing aerial all the time, and people hired me. So I just made
So,
it work.
so where were you living at this time? Were you like living with other people doing it? Paint the picture for us. Let me live vicariously.
Yes. Yeah, I started meeting other artists, and just like it's such a cool community here. It's very punky, very the Quebecois are just so animated and artistic, and like the youth here are very passionate. So, and because Montreal has Cirque du Soleil and the circus school, people come from all over to train and to perform.
Okay, so
So to
you
have
so you've started
coaches,
taking classes
yeah,
and you've moved in with like a really cool house with really cool housemates.
yes.
Like, what did your housemates do? You don't have to give us names. Tell us about your housemates.
Well, one person that I met then, so we're talking like 20 years ago, is still my best friend, Becky, and she started very much like me from university, and she became a clown. So she is still, to this day, a hula hoop clown,
See, that was
and
my
she does
dream.
amazing stuff all over the
It's
world.
really hard. I did the red nose training and it's really physically demanding. You think
Oh
the
yeah.
clowns have it easy.
Oh dude. Yeah, no, that's the
Yeah.
word. Comedy's not, I find it so difficult,
Yeah.
but
And
I have
also you're out there.
respect
It's
for them.
very vulnerable. It's
Yeah.
the most vulnerable thing I've ever done.
Right? I just even taking clowning classes, I
Yeah.
wanted to throw up
Yeah.
literally the whole time, like just,
Yeah.
but that's what she
Okay.
did. So I was living with a clown
Yeah.
and a girl who, um, gosh, she's a strong woman. She does a lot of juggling and manipulation acts, but like this extremely tall, severe woman named Kat, who's still a very good friend as well.
Does she like work out and lift weights and like
Yes.
physically train like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
so,
love about circus that there's so many strong women in their
yeah.
characters and in their bodies, just like built like a brick.
And they take no prisoners, huh? Because to have had the guts to follow that line of work, you have to have guts.
That's
That's
right.
what I love about it. They're
Yeah.
brave. I think you're brave, especially being an introvert. You know, if you're shy, you have the guts to do what most people like me would have killed to do, and you backed yourself. That's quite
Thanks.
something.
I find performing I'm much more terrified to walk into a room full of people I don't know, or like go to a party, than be on stage. Something about that, it's more feel liberated from myself when I perform. Oddly, I
Yeah.
don't know why that is, but
Okay, so you went from taking classes. What was the journey? Small local shows? What was the first show or the first thing you booked that you thought, I can't believe this is my life and I'm standing here doing this? What was that first moment like?
it was really funny. Because I did a couple of small, like localish things. And then my coach recommended me to his coach, or his employer, Deborah Brown, and she's like choreographed Cirque du Soleil shows. Um, she hired me to be flown to Manitoba to inaugurate an arena. So all
When you
these like
wait,
bands
wait,
are
wait, wait.
playing.
You don't skip over the good bit. When you found out you were being hired, what was that like? Where were you? When did you get like a phone
Oh,
call? What did it feel like? That
it was, I
moment?
mean, it was very surreal, very, very surreal. Like I had to borrow a costume. Um,
Did she call
I was
you? Did you expect it? Had you auditioned and you were like, oh, I'm not going to get it?
my coach hooked me up. He's like, show up at this gym at this time and show her your number that we've worked on. I was late. I was, I think we had a miscommunication about the time. So I show up 20 minutes late. She waits for me, thank goodness. And I do my number. And she's like, okay, so I'll just send you the tickets. It was so casual. It was so, and so I just tried to act cool, about it all. And then I get there and the woman doesn't like my music.
Wait,
So
who
I gave
doesn't?
her the person organizing the corporate event. So she's organizing like all these bands. Who's playing like Tragically Hip, some Canadian bands. In any case, the symphony orchestra, a bunch of stuff. It was like 15,000 people watching. Um, and she's like, "Oh, that doesn't work." It was very esoteric because I didn't understand
So
corporate
this is
events.
like when you do a Burley show, like they book you as the act and you come with your own music and give it to
You just
the person
you
and they,
show up.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
you have your whole act. That's what I love about circus compared to dance is you're in control.
Yeah,
You make your act, choose everything about it, and then you sell it. And
that's what I
so
loved
not
about the
dependent on
Burley
choreographers.
shows. The
Yeah,
excitement of creating it,
yeah,
literally your imagination
yeah.
can go
And then you're
wild.
empowered. It's what you want to do,
Yeah.
instead of a
But
choreographer like.
did you have backup music?
So I gave her my iPod and she just chose something and I did it. This is ridiculous. I did it without ever having practiced it. I performed in front of 15,000 people. Because when you do circus, it has to end on cues and ideally end on the end of the music.
Right.
It did. But when I look
Wow.
back on it now, I was like,
It's a miracle
that could have gone poorly. It was fine.
because it was fate.
Yes.
That's the planets lining up the way they're
Yeah,
supposed to.
yeah. The
So,
other odd thing is I'm from Manitoba,
uh-huh.
and my mom went to the thing. It was the opening of a big hockey arena in
Okay.
Winnipeg. She had a friend who was invited to the inauguration, so she went. And Fred Penner, who is like a Canadian TV show, like kids show star, introduced me, and I dedicated it to my mom. So it was kind of amazing.
See, but these are those high moments. I feel like as narrators, that's kind of what we're chasing as any artists, as actors, as narrators. That's why, on one hand, and I'm the one that's been saying this a lot to everyone and annoyingly, be in the moment, appreciate the book you're doing, love every moment, really milk it for all it's worth. But in the back of our minds, aren't we all chasing? We only get like maybe, if we're lucky, 2 or 3 in our lives. That
Mhm.
moment where you get the dream and you can say, the moment where you surprise yourself, that was one of them. Did you have any other moments where you surprised yourself with it?
Oh gosh, I'll probably remember them tonight. I'll wake up
Okay.
at 3 in the morning and be like, why didn't I say that?
But the whole life was like unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, why did you stop?
Oh, kids. It had been 10 years. My back was sore. And it's hard to maintain a relationship when you're always on tour. You never know when you're going to be anywhere. So you're sort of at the mercy of this unknown schedule, unless you go with this, you sign with a show and for years you're in Vegas or
Yeah.
China or, um, and I really wanted to have kids. So some women totally keep performing after kids. It was too much. I was too tired.
Yeah, I
And
can't
also
imagine.
traveling all the time. My husband already travels all the time. So someone, I was ready.
Did it break your heart though a little bit?
I did not think I would find something I wanted to do as much as or more. And then I did. I
Narrating.
prefer what I'm doing now, actually.
Really?
I really do.
Okay, so tell us, excuse me. Oh, first I have a question for Jonathan, from Jonathan. How high up in the air did you perform and did you have a net underneath you?
Okay. So it really varied performance to performance. The highest I was in a harness. So I was attached to the apparatus I performed on. So does that count? I don't know. But we were in a crane and they lifted us over the stage. And I remember someone said it was the stage they used for Lollapalooza. So very high, lifted us over that. And then we performed over a crowd who were very far below us. So very, very high, which is very, very scary. I've also done the thing where you perform on the outside of buildings and you jump against the building. That
Oh my
again, like maybe
God.
8 stories,
I have
but
like a
you're also
massive fear of heights. So and the pictures of you doing it, can I just say they're pieces of
attached.
art. It's astonishingly beautiful what the human body can do. Do you feel that your body, was it grueling when you learned how to do it? Did you have sores and injuries and like a dancer, like an athlete's body
Yeah.
afterwards?
I remember, so when I was that high, I could have been like, if it's 8 stories, 80 feet in the air, maybe something like this.
Lisa says that if it's the Lollapalooza crane, it's probably about 120 feet.
It was
A-
so high, like it was ridiculous. But when you're attached, it's different. Like normally I'm not attached and no, there's no net because you have to be, that implies performance space that is very specific. So I didn't do a lot of swinging trapeze ever. I did a lot of fabric or trapeze or the circle. So typically I would be anywhere from 30 to 50 feet because that's an appropriate, for most theater spaces, that's an appropriate height.
How did it feel up there?
That felt normal because I was used to it, but going high, my body, I couldn't tell it I was attached, like it was terrified. Just my machine, like my
Wow.
eyesight would jitter. Like my body knew to be afraid, even though I was telling it, "You're okay. You're more safe than you would be at 30 feet," you know?
So when you learned how to do it, when you first learned, when you were like a normal person, and then you tried to learn how to do this, was there a lot of fear that you had to break through to go from being a person that couldn't do it to a person that could do it? Um, I ask this because I'm fascinated by how we hold fear in our body is in our muscles, because I've had a lot of falls and I know that my body is terrified of everything. Was it a mental game talking your body into being more confident, building trust with your body, or was it a physical game that your body taught your mind that it was going to be okay? Which way did it go?
I tried talking to my body and it didn't really work. My body had to get used to it. So what I would do ideally in every new space is I often worked on fabric. So I'd like climb up my fabric, sit at the top and just get into a comfortable position and just be there and look around and try to find some normalcy in like that at each physical space because it is scary. And I don't think it ever wasn't, it felt more normal, but there was never not fear. I guess I just became more comfortable with fear, but it is a very physical experience. And I do think that some of my back pain is just too much fear in the body for too long.
Well, have you read the Great Deception, the Great Pain Deception, or Great Deception or something? You've got to read that book. It's Andrew Sarno. I did like an opening for it. I think Rich Miller did the audiobook for it.
Get down now.
I actually contacted the writer and said, The Great Pain Deception, I think it's called, Steve Osnick or something. And I said, you've got to do this audiobook. I'm not trying to get it because I'm a girl and it's got to be done by a man, but you have to do this audiobook. It's Dr. Sarno, and it's the lower back and the back. And it's the part that basically his theory is that if you have a stress or anxiety or fear, then your body seizes up, and it seizes up in a place to get your attention, to take your mind off what you're doing. That like, and the remedy, if I can remember correctly, was get off the painkillers, do the action anyway. But he had like such horrible back pain. He was incapacitated, like life over back pain. And now he's completely free of it. And the book, Sarno's got massive followers. And the back is the most doctors will tell you. They'll look at people in the x-rays and they'll find nothing.
Right.
You know, or they'll find a lot and people are running around like just fine. But it is so related to.
Believe it.
Yeah. But your job, so I'm really confused about that. I would have thought that you being used to something and having the more times you do it and you're not hurt, the fear would go away. But you're saying, or is it just that you become strong, like being a freelancer? You don't have any more money, but you stop being so scared of it. Or you're still scared, but you're kind of better at ignoring the fear. Is that what you're saying?
I think I became better at ignoring it because there's never not risk, you know? And I know people who are in wheelchairs now. I know 3 men in circus who broke their necks.
Oh God.
2 who are fine, like who have maybe brain injuries, and 1 who's in a wheelchair, paraplegic. So there's never not, I think I'd be crazy not to still be conscious of the risk of it.
Yeah.
And be very vigilant.
Yeah. But do you think that dealing with fear on a daily basis in that job, do you think that changed the way you deal with other types of fears in your life? As a human being, this job had to have changed you as a human being.
I think so. I think definitely. I think I compartmentalize. I think I learned to compartmentalize fear a lot, but I'll be honest with you, motherhood changed my relationship to fear a lot more because I was sleep deprived for so long that I stopped caring about so many things that I cared about before. Like I no longer had the ability to really
worry about a bill being weird, or, you know, but then motherhood, I've heard that when women have children, they have a visceral fear that's like
for the children.
That they get this like visceral fear that they become really fearful. So you're saying you just don't sleep. So
because I was so tired, I guess I just was able to let go of so much that I had the energy to hold on to before. I just had to like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you know about audiobook narrating? When did you decide this was a thing for you? How did you learn about it?
Someone that I didn't know very well was like, you have a great voice. You should hypnotize people. He was a psychiatrist, and he's like, you know what? You'd be so great. You should do what I do. People just listen to your voice. But then I just started Googling around, what can I do?
Yeah, because
Like
I
again,
prefer Badass Heroine.
yeah, yeah.
So, but did you already have kids at this point?
Yes. So I was looking for something else that didn't travel, you know?
Yeah.
And thankfully I found this.
And how did you jump into it? Were you like, I'm going to find a
Um,
coach, I'm going to,
really sideways. Like I just I found stuff on YouTube. I found like how-to videos and I found ACX and I just started playing around. And
yeah.
then, once I realized how much I enjoyed this, I started finding coaches and getting into the community more. I attended my first APAC when I had one book out. So that was like really meeting a bunch of lovely people and sort of committing.
That's a big deal, though. It's an intimidating big deal to do. This
Yeah,
whole thing is an intimidating big deal. It is. And I love that you said that you love it more than the circus, because I still secretly wish I was in the circus. I do love audiobook narrating more than anything on earth, but I still secretly wish I was in the circus. I think
I
it's the
hear ya.
coolest thing on earth.
Yeah,
Um,
I really like the people.
yeah,
I've
but
met
I
some
bet
great
you've made
characters.
friends for the rest of your life. Once you're a circus person, you're always a circus person, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a real community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So narrating now. Now they all say, and you know me, the vocal anti-hugger that I am, but they all say that it's very isolating. Do you find that?
I do, but again, since being a mom, I have so little alone time that I crave it. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Um, it's so restful. Well, and because there's such a strong online community, it like
Mm,
as with circus, there's such a narrators community that I don't feel it's like socially isolated necessarily,
yeah.
but alone time is something I really prize. So
So your kids, so what if your kids turned around and said, I wanted to become a trapeze artist? Would you be over the moon for them? Really?
I definitely encourage them, and we're in such a good city. We're in Montreal, so we're in such a good place for them to do that. I
Yeah.
feel like they'll get into it at least recreationally, but when they're a little older.
Do you still practice? I mean, do you still have like a hardcore workout routine because of that?
I
Or
don't.
because muscles have memory, so you're probably set for life, huh?
I still have muscles. Yep. I still look built, but I really haven't trained my upper body since. I do a lot of yoga and I do a lot of meditating, but once I stopped performing, I lost the discipline to work my body hard. I did it for so long. I sort of lost the love to hurt, to hurt so hard.
That I wonder about that. Okay, so let me ask your opinion about that,
Hmm.
because I've lost my discipline to leave the flat, really. And I say that jokingly, but I kind of not. I've got my booth, I've got the best flat in the world, I've got like my family, I've got my job that I love.
Hmm.
And why? Right? So, but the thing is, when people get old, their lives become smaller. And I remember noticing that, like going and visiting relatives, and like they used to be like the cleanest people in the world, and like there's it's not clean, and you help them clean and everything, and you
Yes.
don't judge, but then secretly in your mind, or maybe it's just me, you're thinking, I don't want to be, that terrifies me. I want to stay me and vibrant. And I remember meeting my father the last time, and he said, his friend had just died. He was very depressed. It was like he'd given up. Like they
Mm.
stopped looking forward to things. You're a long way from that because you have kids. You've got these whole lives to nurture. You at the beginning of life, um, but do you feel that the letting go of things Like we've got this trip up where we're holding on, and we're grabbing everything we can. And then you slowly start to let go of things, and it feels good because you know who you are and you don't need as many things. I'm getting very deep here. You probably didn't expect this. I didn't either, but you
I'm
gave
here
it
for
to
it.
me on a platter, Seth.
Totally.
But then I wonder at what point do we stop letting go, like you with the physical stuff and the discipline? And at what point should we say, hold on, I need to do more of this drive and this and that? Do you see what I'm
I think
saying?
both.
When we're
Yeah.
younger, rather than waiting till you can't walk up the path or leave the flat, or or maybe I'm just going through a midlife crisis.
I hear you. I think it's cycles. I think we need to keep doing that to ourselves.
Yeah,
We need to keep finding the spark of something new to explore.
yeah.
Um,
But physically engaging in everything. So, but I mean, you've got like an active life, you've got kids. I don't think you probably
very
need any
so
more
physical.
exercise than that.
It's probably not very balanced, but it's pretty physical.
How often
Yeah.
do you do yoga? Do you manage yoga?
I try to do one like hour per week, like 1 hour session. And in the morning I do some stretches and stuff, but I don't do a full routine. It's very different in the last
Yeah.
7 years, my my physical life. Like it really just dropped off from 100 to 10%.
But you're happy with it? But see, if
Yeah,
you're
I
happy with
was
it,
so
that's all that
ready. I
matters.
was so ready.
Really?
It's incredibly painful. There's nothing you see in the air that isn't they're not in pain the whole time.
See, I thought that their bodies were so strong and so fierce that like it
You
became a thing of strength. Like I did martial arts for a while, like hardcore, because I was like getting skinny and doing this thing.
really
And
cool.
it was hardcore. Like there was a master and he hit you with a bamboo stick if you didn't get it right. And the weird thing was, because I was there was only one other girl, but you don't mess with her, but I was the only other girl, and I was an American in London. I was an anomaly. So he never hit me, I think, until like finally, like 3 months later, I got hit with a stick, and I was really proud. I was like, you know, so that kind of like mentality that like, I'm gonna do it. They bowed to the master. They ate weird things after class to show that like they could do it. And that kind of mentality. But I guess the way you're doing it, because you're physically active, you have kids, so you can't even kid me that that's not physically grueling. And they're still at the age, are they still at the age where you lift them?
Oh yes, they're 4 and 6, but there's a lot of lifting. There's a
Yeah.
lot of they're not small 4 and 6 either. They're robust, you know.
So I guess you don't need that. I'm going to do this. I thought that was something that became ingrained and then your body learned to crave it and wanted it. You're just saying, no, you're just killing yourself and then you really don't want to do it.
Well, for example, so my friend Becky, who I said I lived with and who still performs, she has got to go for a run every day or she's in a bad mood. So I think maybe physically everyone is a little
Oh,
different too.
okay. Okay.
I can't, and the part of me that wants to do something is really, I'm so interested in learning about acting. I'm so interested about learning more about this,
Yeah.
you know, all this
And
stuff.
that does take, I never, maybe doing this job, I've learned to appreciate I never in my life appreciated how much energy your brain actually takes. And then until you like spend a night where you're like complete focus, do you know what I mean? And hours later, and literally there's nothing left. Like you're sucked dry. You're like, can't get off the couch.
Yeah, I hear you.
Question, do the kids still bother you in the bathroom, and do you let them in from one mom to another?
Dude, I don't even close the door. What's the
Really?
point? Seriously. I mean, sometimes I try, but they're gonna come in. If
Is
they are
that a
conscious,
shock?
they'll find a reason.
Is that a shock though, going from not being a mother to being a mother and suddenly like, because, okay, this is going to sound stupid. Please humor me, right? I can't eat dinner anymore without a ski cap on, because if I'm in the room, my bird is attached to me and in one form or another. So he sits on my head and looks down in my eyes longingly while I'm eating. You can't really do that. In a heat wave, it's not ideal. Thing is, I was realizing with mothers, which I don't have a kid, that having somebody needy, independent, and attached to you at all times, like you cannot go to the bathroom because they need you and they're screaming and crying. If you had a kid, they're like a large appendage attached. Is that what it's like? So at what point do you realize that that's the way it is? Did you know that going in?
I didn't know that going in. No, I didn't know how relentless parenthood was. They are in school and daycare. So
okay.
All respect to people who have their kids home all the time. I'm in awe. Yeah, no, I think there's so much about parenthood, relentless.
Yeah,
there's
that's what Kim says. And
like,
Kim's always smiling. She looks so relaxed.
It's because our kids aren't there. I'm just kidding, Kim. But I do feel that way often. Like I need some time alone sometimes.
But I love the fact you've always been, I don't know where I got this impression. I think it's in Facebook and comments. You make jokes. You like, you don't pretend. Like sometimes people become parents and we all have to pretend that they had a wonderful time during COVID in the house with their kids for 2 years and everything was wonderful. You don't pretend. There's the good, there's the bad. You know, we all love our partners, but sometimes you put earphones in and pretend you're listening. It's like, you know, I think you need that.
I find it really refreshing when I find other parents with whom I can not pretend together, because it's
you've got Kim.
Experience.
You've got Kim.
Oh, it's not that we don't love our kids, but boy, it's very challenging. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, and I joke about that because I just have the pet, but seriously, I would kill or die for a 2-inch budgie. So if I had a child, I would be one of those mothers. We're talking pageants. And those big pink dresses and sparkles.
Julia, all right.
You know, you would, and knocking people out and if they said a word to your child kind of thing.
That's an amazing experience as well. The feeling of protectiveness.
How long do you think you could perform, like if you had like a one-off variety show, or would it take months and months and months for you to get a show together at this point?
I would take 6 weeks. If I could, I would need 6 weeks to train to be able to do it.
And when you were training and when you were doing that job, how much training were you doing a day? Like physical workout?
If I was performing every night, which often I was, I would just do some warm-up stuff. I wouldn't do a lot, and that's depends so much person to person. I found in the industry, like some people really trained a lot all the time, and I was more into maintaining my level because I just found it took so much from me, the performances physically. I didn't want to overtrain during the day and then you're exhausted. Like you don't want to not have the strength in your forearms.
Yeah.
Like when you're holding yourself, I know it looks like you need so many big muscles, but if this seizes up, you're in trouble. So you don't want to overdo it.
I love that.
I'd love to offer a workshop to narrators. If we're all like everyone together. I almost did that in New York last year. A bunch of people
like getting up on a trapeze workshop in real life.
There's a place we could rent in New York and just like have fun and try different apparatus, and I'd love to do that.
You could do it now. There's hundreds of narrators in New York right now.
Well, I mean, if there's an event, maybe I'll try to sort that out. It'd be fun to everyone just like try a couple things, you know?
I think that's cool. I do have a secret dream of like the before and after, the person suddenly shocks everyone. The 99-year-old woman becomes a famous weightlifter, even though she sat on her lardy ass for 10 years watching reality TV. I love the person conquers all.
Yeah. I used to
You know,
teach a lot of adults, and it was really satisfying because
yeah.
it was, mostly women, I mean, men too, in their 30s and 40s who just really always wanted to do it. And they're so passionate. And it was very rewarding. And
It's
they really
actually,
could do some great tricks. Like we really worked up and do little shows and stuff. It was really,
I
really
would
fun.
be good except for the getting up off the ground part.
That's gotta do that.
Jonathan says, are circus performers paid well? The higher the way, the more dangerous, the higher the wage, like lion tamers get the most, maybe. Have you ever met a lion tamer?
I have. I have not a lot because I didn't work with a lot of traditional circuses that had animals. I do love traditional circus though, and traditional circus culture. I love those
Yes.
people. I
So
really
they don't
tried to always
abuse
make
the
friends.
elephants,
I
do
love
they? Do
this.
they abuse the elephants?
I mean, they're not happy there. I've not worked in a big traditional circus where there was big animals like that. But I did perform for a long time with a trapeze artist whose generationally her family were lion tamers. So she told me some pretty ridiculous stories
Ooh,
about,
do you remember any of them?
well, her grandfather's act was walking a tightrope across the lion pit and did fall in. It was fine, but he did fall in and it was very touch and go. But then it was fine. Typically, they don't want to share too much with us. It's very closed, traditional
It's
circus people
family.
to the
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Yeah, so when I was I was often with like contemporary circus performances and companies, but when I'd always try to like make friends and stuff, but didn't go so far.
I love that. I love
But
that.
yes, they make money more than dancers.
Really?
Circus performers, yes. And
Oh,
it
see,
depends
I
what
thought they
company.
didn't. I thought they didn't.
So,
You
okay,
almost,
so this depends. Race, what company you get into,
wait,
but
race?
yes,
Really?
yes,
Oh, wow.
yes.
I would have thought the circus would be different.
No, no. So when I would be on a show with lots of different acts from all over, for certainly any like tumbling acts from Africa are getting the lowest wage. Um, yeah,
But do they admit it? Is it like a known thing?
it's a
Is
known
anybody
thing.
challenging it?
I hope they are challenging it. Um, it depends for the Chinese, there's because they're so closed off what context they're performing in, if they're with a big company or um but like for example, this is 15 years ago now, but I was working in Germany. I worked in Europe a lot in the cabarets. Germany no
Oh
longer
my
would hire
God, you did?
Americans.
I'm
Yes,
sorry. I need to let you talk without interrupting you, but really? You're
yes.
killing me.
That was my favorite. I spent a lot of time doing the little cabarets, the little Spiegel tents, as they're called. So it's like semi-permanent structures with mirrors all along the outside. And
Wait, so did your company fly you out? Did you fly yourself out to those jobs?
I fly myself,
Right.
and they pay once, like per day.
Did you go with friends that you knew would be in the show with you? Did you stay in a hotel there? Did you have great meals? Did you have great nights out in discotheques and then go to the cabaret? What was it like? Was it amazing? Did you go shopping?
I did go shopping. I did go shopping. I performed a lot with my then boyfriend, and we had a duet. So I traveled a lot with him over a 5-year period, but often by myself, as well. So you sort of get there and then you meet that cast and you're together for 2 to 3 months and then different. You go to the next tent in the next town. It's often like small town Germany. So sometimes they're not discos. Sometimes it's quiet. But Germans are very loyal. They love dinner theater. Like, and they'll go to to the same place every year.
Are you going to write a book about this? Do you know that you could write a book about this? I'd say, can you please make me the narrator? But I have a feeling you're going to want to narrate it.
I would really love to write about some of the people I met.
And the
they're so
trips and the
interesting,
cabarets
you
and
know?
falling in love with your boyfriend and doing an act together. I'm sorry, I would buy that book in 2 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Yes, definitely,
Noted.
definitely. You write the book, you narrate it. How hard can it be? I mean, that's what they said about us when we started narrating. How hard can it be? Just an hour a day, just write.
Maybe I should. I mean, particularly just for some of the characters out there, they deserve to have their stories told. They're such
A
weirdos.
lot of burly girls have done their own books and they sell fast. They're
I'd
really
read
well.
that.
You
Yeah.
know, I would buy it in a second. I literally write a book about all this. I won't get any more of the good stuff from you, so you can save it for the, I want to hear, but in the book, don't forget to include how you met the boyfriend and the dual act. You have to add a little romance.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
For sure.
And what it was like, you traveling together to the shows and what you wore when you went out and all the quirky characters in the different countries. Oh, amazing. Jonathan says, did you see the musical about Barnum Circus? Can't remember the name. Was
Oh,
it The
no.
Greatest Showman or something? I never saw that. I think everyone else in the world did. Lisa says it would be a great book. Just write the book, Sen. You have to write the book. How can you not write that?
All right. I'm on it, guys. I'm
Right.
on it.
And then you can narrate it and make a fortune. Travis just did that. And he's like now like one of the most famous writers of all times. And he just wrote one like, you know, I'm not having written it. I'm like, you just wrote one in 1 week. I'm sure it was like blood, sweat, and tears. But seriously, who better to write a book than somebody that's been training themselves as a narrator for years?
All right.
What's
I'm
your favorite?
galvanized.
What's your favorite genre? What kind of book, when you get it, do you just like feel giddy with excitement, nervous going in, and what kind of book does that for you?
Well, you know, I'm gonna say time travel, and I know how you feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything, because if it'll bring me, because I don't have a British accent, like, you know, naturally. I was born in Scotland, but we moved when I was 5, so I talk like this. I feel cheated.
What part of
But
Scotland?
Glasgow.
My husband's from
If I could
Glasgow.
have, yeah. So as close as I can get to doing books in British accents, I want to. Like maybe
Yeah.
I'll not ever be able to do the whole book. I'm practicing. But anything where it'll get me, like, so historical fiction, really like that. Something that'll
Yeah.
get me some accent work.
Yeah.
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 Anything
I
with
love,
good writing's fun, you know?
yeah, I can do the Scottish accent more and Irish more easily than British. I find British, I cannot hear it. I cannot tell the difference. I literally think I sound just exactly like them.
And is that because of did you feel that way before? Is it because of where you're living?
It's because I've been here too long.
Right. It's all
And so
just
now, yeah, it's all the same. I've been back, and because we move back and forth and back and forth, and I
okay.
watch shows from both, and I, you know, so now I literally, it's one big language.
But your husband is Scottish. Do you still hear his accent?
I mean, he just sounds like him. The only thing I picked up was I didn't again.
Does he say that a lot?
But I'm not allowed to follow him around and imitate him anymore on grounds that we might get divorced. So it didn't work anyway. I tried really hard. You would think you'd get help. You know, honey, can you please tell me how to pronounce this? Nope.
He's not into it? Oh, man.
I mean, I think a lot of people find that, like, your family and friends understanding what you do for a living. Like when we go out and yell at that leaf blower and want to commit murder, and then your family's just sitting there looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Right? I mean, did you find that? Did you find that people don't completely understand your special form of?
Yep, definitely. Yeah.
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 But your kids nothing will faze them. Oh, we grew up and mommy went in the closet and screamed at herself for 4 hours.
Mainly, it's their best hiding place when they're playing hide and seek is my booth.
Oh.
So that's why they like me, I'm pretty sure. There's like
You seem
secret
like
hiding
a
spot.
very cool mom, though. You seem
Oh,
like a
yeah?
very, very cool mom.
Okay. I'm gonna tell them you said that.
Yes,
Guys, by the
yes.
way,
So do you read them stories at night?
oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly in French.
Oh, I
So,
love that. Do you
yeah.
record? Do you ever record for them so that they can listen?
No, we've done projects where I record them, but I haven't recorded stuff for them to listen to
You
yet.
should. You
I,
should
w-
when
I, w-
you.
I definitely will.
Yeah, because then when they grow up, when you grow up and you get all nostalgic about your childhood,
Yeah,
they can pull out that recording of mommy reading a story to them at night. I think we'd all love to hear a recording of our childhood story.
that's so true. I really should. Feel like
Yeah.
maybe I was waiting until they were a little older, that the books would, like get into
Be more
Harry Potter,
interesting.
all that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Leo Kai, who's 6 and he's almost 7. It's really changing now what he'll have the attention span for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I should get on
Yeah.
that.
I think that'd be cool. I have a friend that opened an email account for her grandchild, and everyone in the family has it.
Do
And
they write to her?
they send pictures and they write
Oh,
and they send stories of like her whole childhood growing up. And so when she's old enough, like 18 or 19, her grandma's going to give her that email account,
that's such a good idea.
isn't it? And she'll have a
Totally.
lifetime of photos and
Yeah,
emails from grandma and uncle and the neighbor. And I just think it's such a cool,
that's a great idea.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's one of my
That everyone,
writers.
that everyone can contribute to it, you know?
Yeah. And it's what a gift to get when you're like 18, 19 years old and you look
Yeah.
back, there's your whole
Especially if maybe
childhood there.
you've lost some of those people along the way, like
Yeah.
that they're no longer with you. There's that record.
And
It's
my
lovely.
parents never even took video. My sister and I are very bitter about that. You know how people have videos of like their childhood and Christmas trees?
Yeah.
We're very bitter. But we spend
Yeah.
hours on Pinterest trying to like duplicate things from childhood. Do you have videos of your childhood?
No. Lots
We
of
miss,
photos, but
yeah,
no videos.
we missed that generation, I think.
Yeah.
But saying that, we didn't have the whole you have to like Photoshop yourself by the time you're 12.
Yeah, exactly.
How
That
are
will
you
I
going to protect your kids against that? Are you going to like, how are you going to deal with that when that happens?
We really wonder about it because
Yeah,
it's coming up. It's coming up fast. And I can't say that I have the answers yet. The
yeah,
book I'm narrating right now is about anxiety and depression and how it all starts in childhood. And right now, I just finished the part about violent media and social media and the effects on young minds. So I'm really thinking about it right now.
does it start in childhood?
Um, Anxiety and depression,
Yeah,
um, negative mindset and negative narratives really do. And the way stress affects the brain and the way young children recognize stress, it's really present, which was kind of crazy to read as a parent. But I just hope that we can stave off the video games for as long as
yeah,
possible because he
yeah.
knows they exist, but he's not pushing now for my eldest. He's not pushing for them yet because I feel like I've got 2 boys. Not that girls don't play video games.
But then the other thing is there's this whole crazy creative side to some of those video games. People like Travis design video games. There's this like, I wouldn't mind my kid being smart in that way. Like they're
Yeah, so hopefully we
technical
can push
wizards.
those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Leokai oddly loves chess and Rubik's cubes. So I feel like
Oh,
anything like that, he could really capture his attention. So hopefully we can push that direction of video games and screen time.
I just think as a parent, it's easy for me to say having a budgie, but as a parent, you can only just be your best you
Right.
and love them
Yeah.
and teach them resilience,
Resilience.
teach them resilience. Kim's son has a whole community on Discord that he games with. See, that's the thing. There's a lot of community, and the thing is, some kids that might not have those friends at school, they get that hobby, and that's their place of power and strength.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but I think the resiliency and the open lines of communication, and just being the best you.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, just trying to keep. They're so young now. They still want us so much that we don't have to battle. Like, for example, the adolescent thing where they want distance.
They decide they hate your guts for no reason.
Like a kettle of fish.
It's like, right, Mom.
Not eye rolling. There's been no eye rolls yet.
Oh God. I think back to when I was a teenager. My poor parents, I feel so guilty. Yeah. If anyone out there in the YouTube audience has a teenage girl, don't worry. I'm sure your child is fine.
Very compliant.
But we all get there. I guess that's the necessary stuff. And I think anyone could do worse than having Kim or a Senn as a parent. You guys are for the simple fact, the evidence is right in front of us that both of you have followed your dreams. And I think that's the single biggest thing a parent can do for their children.
Yeah.
Yeah. You followed your dreams. That set your kid. That's the one important element that your children will have the rest of their lives. Their biggest role model, whether they hate you or love you, showed them that the model of the world is you follow your dreams and you back yourself.
Wow. Thanks, Daniela.
It's massive.
That's my takeaway from this. Yeah. I'm going to tell them at dinner, by the way.
Except, by the way, you don't get off that easy. Senn. Kim says, hence why my son is welding in the driveway. It's all fun and giggles until she's in the booth and he's welding in the driveway.
Kim.
So the easy bit that all the guests, thank you, Kenton and Lisa, that all the guests look forward to. They remind me, because I always forget the word time capsule, but embarrassingly, we had a recent call where I forgot all my words. I literally forgot what I was saying half the call, and they had to sit and prompt me.
Good for you guys.
In schools where people bury time capsules.
Yes.
And the idea is that in the next generation, 50 years or so, somebody will dig it up and they'll find something that represents that time or that person, or or famous last words. Even for the YouTube audience that's going to be watching this in 60, 70 years or so.
Yes.
What would you like to be remembered for? What would you like to leave them with? What words of wisdom? What would you put in a time capsule if you could? I'm leaving it way open for you, even a joke.
So this doesn't have to be an object then?
Doesn't have to be an object.
Well, Joseph Campbell, so freaking smart. And he just said, follow your bliss. He said a lot of stuff, but follow your bliss. I'm going to take it back to following your dreams. That's really, if you can do that, then you actualize as a human, you get to know yourself and then are better placed to get to know others and have empathy for others. Because it's not easy. Following your bliss is terrifying and hard, and there's failure and you risk, you confront yourself. So then I think if you're willing to do that, you're going to be a nicer person to other people.
Well, but think about it with the trapeze work as well, because that's what you were doing, confronting yourself every time. And that's what I remembered from clown school. And it was the hardest thing on earth.
Hardest thing. Mm-hmm.
Really scary and hard. And it's got to be said, you have hands down the best website I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Hands down the best website. I mean, your header, even your just tagline is amazing. But the pictures, the demos.
Help me with that. I gotta give it up. Jim Siebert.
Really?
Full credit. Yes.
Yeah.
I was messing around. I did speed dating in 2020. Last in-person speed dating. I feel really happy, really lucky. But he was in the group and we were all going through our promo together beforehand. and I had this very long-winded woman who likes to do the thing, like it was like a 20-word tagline. He's like, let me help you out.
It's amazing. And you have a voice clip introducing yourself. I mean, it's the best website I've ever seen. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I couldn't think of a single thing to change on it. It's, yeah, you guys did. And Kim, no joking, you guys seriously need to check it out. It's quite some, it's memorable, it's different, it's slick, it's professional, and it's just brilliant. Brilliant.
I did it myself.
It's amazing. It's really gorgeous, really gorgeous. I'm really proud of my website. Normally, like when I see other people's websites, I think, oh, that's really cool. I can appreciate it, you know, but I love mine. But it's yours, great. I'm a tiny bit, oh, I wish I could steal, like,
but yours is so you. I'd love to see your iterations over the years. And because you probably saw. Yeah, you get closer and closer to expressing you. It's awesome. It's been awesome to see.
I think you either get closer to yourself or it becomes more difficult to hide yourself. It becomes more difficult to like button up the loose bits. and you know, it's all spilling out at the end of the day.
I hear that. I think that's charming.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So
it's refreshing.
I'm so glad I finally got you on here. I vaguely remember trying to, but because you are right, you're a very kind of self-contained person. And I never know, does that mean they don't want to come on? But I'm like 6 months later, Senn, when are you going to come on Cup of Joe?
Thank you so much for inviting me. You know, I was terrified all week and just like everyone had to hear about it, my drama.
Oh, really? Seriously?
It was very comfortable. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone in the chat.
You've been like doing this forever. You're like a natural. You should be
hosting the shows. That's all you. It's like a partner dance, Daniela. I'm just following your.
You've got the calm thing going on. You've got the calm thing going on. You could host your own shows in a split second.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. I have so much respect.
It says the woman that goes up on the top of a trapeze. Thank you so much, Senn. This has been fabulous. It's been wonderful. I had such a good night. And thank you to everyone that joined. You guys are wonderful. And let us know when you have your first trapeze class.
I will. And I'm going to get you up there. We'll lower it down. I'm getting you up.
Yeah. Maybe I'll join by Zoom.
No, I feel it. I feel it, Daniela. I feel it will happen.
Yeah, I'm waiting for COVID to be over.
Yeah, it'll happen for all of us.
Thank you so much, Senn.
Very much.
Okay, you guys, wonderful, wonderful. Mwah! See you all later. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, everyone.